Xinxin's mouth curled up slightly. Leaning against the backrest with one arm, she looked at Zhang Yi with adoration and love in her eyes. "Brother, there's still one thing you haven't figured out." "Zhang Yi, huh? What is it?" Yang Xinxin pointed her finger at Zhang Yi's nose. The white fingertips lightly touched his nose, cool and soft. "You're too cautious, so you're always used to thinking about things in a negative way. But you forget that nowadays, you are in fact the top mutant in the Jiangnan region. Such a person will be respected no matter where they are, and will be courted by all major powers. And now that the Deng family has lost its top combatant, this is equivalent to them showing you goodwill. Even without the task of Eclipse Moon, they are willing to establish a good relationship with you. Can't you understand such a simple truth?" Zhang Yi's mind suddenly cleared. He let out a long sigh. "I have survived the vicious struggles between people, and I have almost forgotten the rules of civilized society." Blizzard City still retained a civilized state, so there was still a sense of human relations, rather than simply relying on fists to speak. With a flip of his hand, he took out the X compound that Uncle Deng Yuanbo had given him from dimensional space. This was the drug that Deng Yuanbo had said could quickly awaken the potential of mutants. Zhang Yi could imagine how valuable it was. He had an urge to use it, a desire at the genetic level. But out of caution, he didn't dare to do so. After some thought, he chose to call Baili Changqing and ask him about it. Soon after, Baili Changqing answered the phone. Zhang Yi exchanged a few pleasantries before getting straight to the point. "Are the Deng family's research results in genetic medicine impressive? Do they have any dark history with drugs?" Baili Changqing replied, "Let me put it this way, at present, Blizzard City relies on the Deng family for the majority of its genetic medicine. And now, after many experiments, the medicine has matured." As he spoke, he glanced at his arm. "I am the third batch of drug testers, and so far everything is normal, with no adverse reactions." Zhang Yi asked, "What is the name of the drug you are using?" Baili Changqing thought for a moment. "Zhang Yi is now considered to be mostly one of us. Even if he is unwilling to accept the jurisdiction of the Jiangnan region, joining the Tengu to carry out the mission against the Eclipse Moon proves that he is trustworthy. That drug is called Compound 6. Compound 6, a term Zhang Yi had never heard before. But he soon understood. Compound X was a technology unique to the Deng family, and not even the people of Blizzard City had access to it. "Thank you, I understand now." After much thought, he suppressed the urge to use the syringe. He would wait until Liang Yu finished her experiment and observe for a while. No matter what, caution must come first. Better safe than sorry. Deng Yuanbo, on the other hand, told Zhu Jing about Zhang Yi's agreement to take up the position of captain of the Tengu squad. Zhu Jing was greatly surprised and wondered what conditions Deng Yuanbo had used to convince Zhang Yi. Deng Yuanbo just laughed and passed it off with a joke. Zhu Jing was not angry either. In short, as long as Zhang Yi agreed to be the captain of the Tengu squad, that would be the best news for the major powers in Blizzard City. He thought about it for a while and instructed his secretary Lan Xinqing to ask Zhang Yi to come over. He planned to talk to Zhang Yi personally, mainly about the mission, and explain something to him. So, Zhang Yi didn't really get much rest in the afternoon, and was called to the combat center again. He met Zhu Jing. Zhu Jing had a kind smile on his face, and looked at Zhang Yi with satisfaction in his eyes, just like he had looked at Deng Shintong. "I heard from Deng Yuanbo that you have agreed to be the captain of the Tengu squad?" Zhang Yi had thought about this name countless times, and was glad that he wasn't actually a lapdog. To think that Deng Shintong's team was called the Heavenly God Squad, and his was the Tengu squad. It was a bit embarrassing. Zhang Yi put aside his wandering thoughts, held his chest out, and placed his right fist on his chest. "For the Jiangnan region, for Blizzard City, for the glory of the Huaxu race. It is our duty to restore the glory of the Huaxu kingdom." As he thought, "I must consider whether this is the only opportunity one will ever have to sacrifice my life for my country." Zhu Jing coughed violently and thought to himself, "Enough already, kid. Before, I was begging you but you wouldn't agree. Now you're acting like a passionate man. Who are you trying to impress? Although I don't know what conditions Uncle Deng Yuanbo offered Zhang Yi, I can imagine that Zhang Yi is the type of person who won't budge until he sees results. And what most impressed Zhang Yi about the Deng family was their genetic technology. Zhu Jing said to Zhang Yi sternly, "Since you've accepted the position of captain, you must take on the corresponding responsibilities. You will be in charge of the remnants of the Heavenly God Squad and the Black Robe Squad. These mutants are all unruly, especially the members of the Heavenly God Squad. As captain, you must integrate the team and no longer act like a lone wolf. However, as the captain of the investigation squad, you will also enjoy very high privileges. Lan Xincheng will send the explanation of your privileges to your communication device later." Zhang Yi didn't really have a problem with any of this. However, after some consideration, he made 2 requests. "I brought Liang Yu and Yang Xinxing with me, and my pet flower is very strong. I hope that all 3 of them can be incorporated into the squad. After all, temporary squad members can also enjoy the rights of regular squad members, such as battle uniforms." This made Zhang Yi think of the volunteers before the end of the world. Although they did not get paid a penny for their work, they were still able to receive a set of clothes when they left. He's not being greedy, just giving them a set of battle uniforms each. Those things are really useful. Zhu Jing nodded with a smile. "Of course there's no problem with that. As the captain, you have the authority to appoint your trusted subordinates." Zhang Yi continued, "This team is temporarily formed, and as I said, I will temporarily serve as the captain. After the mission is over, I will still return to Tianhai City and be my free-spirited self. Therefore, I don't want my personal information to be overexposed. Can I act under a code name instead of my real name? Hiding one's strength is very important." However, after this battle, Zhang Yi's name will definitely attract the attention of many powerful forces. All the world's major organizations can quickly strip him of all his information from birth to the present just by using his name. After all, here, the identity information of ordinary people is not worth much and has long been sold all over the world. Personal information, on the other hand, contains weaknesses and could lead to his death due to a minor problem. Zhu Jing listened and pondered for a moment, then muttered, "The idea you've proposed was actually mentioned by the leaders of several major regions during a briefing not long ago. We do need to compile code names for source combat personnel to ensure the confidentiality of personal information. This should be considered common sense. Even within the military, soldiers and special forces have operational codes. Not to mention those special staff members, who also mostly use codes or pseudonyms to ensure that their identities are not disclosed." Zhang Yi asked, "So that means there's no problem?" Zhu Jing nodded with a smile. "Of course it's fine. In fact, the regional side has already begun the code operation. We have basically set the rules for the code." He ran his hand along his chin. "Well, the current decision is to use characters from ancient mythology as code names. In fact, people at the level of investigation squad captain all have their own code names, which are officially registered. I can get you one." Zhang Yi thought about it for a moment and made his request. "I hope I can be given an inconspicuous code name. Not too strong, not too weak, and not very famous. Just the kind that you can tell has no presence at all just by looking at it." Zhu Jing understood Zhang Yi's character, so he nodded. "Okay, I'll go back and check the list to see what available codes there are. As for contacting the members of the Tengu squad, Lan Xincheng and Bai Li Changqing will be your contact." Zhang Yi nodded in acceptance, which was not at all out of the question. After Zhang Yi left, Zhu Jing looked at the closed doors and propped his chin up with his hands. His sharp gaze was like a sword, exuding a terrifying radiance. Zhang Yi is very obedient. He will be the captain of the Tengu squad, and the problem will be solved very well. In the shadows behind him, Sun Lushuan spoke slowly like a statue. "In this way, no one in Blizzard City can shake your authority. After the mission to encircle and annihilate Eclipse Moon is complete, disband the Tengu squad, and let Zhang Yi leave Blizzard City with the flow of events. This is the best possible ending." Sun Lushuan looked at Zhu Zheng and asked with a smile, however, by that time, the Tengu squad will have no captain. Zhu Zheng's cold and hard-mouthed corners slowly rose. Don't worry, I already have the most suitable candidate. Soon after Zhang Yi left, Zhu Zheng sent over the code names for him to choose from. After he confirmed his choice, it needed to be reported to the internal system of the 6 major regions. Each person could only have one special code name, and those who came later could not seize the code names of those who came before. If they really wanted to seize someone else's code name, they would have to use special means. As Zhang Yi had expected, code names such as Wukong, Erlangshan and Kongxian had already been taken. There is also a hierarchy among the mutants, and most of them are arrogant and unwilling to be inferior to others. Therefore, most of the remaining titles are either obscure or minor deities. Zhang Yi looked at the list of codes and pondered for a long time. He muttered to himself, the high-profile divine titles have already been taken, and deliberately choosing one that is too obscure will give people the impression that you are deliberately hiding yourself, which will make you more exposed instead. I must choose a code name that is neither obscure nor conspicuous. After looking at it several times, he finally decided on his code name. Chaos. This was the code name he chose. Chaos represents confusion and the unknown. Although it is one of the 4 ancient fearsome beasts, it is not as well known as Cheong Qi or the Gluttony. It is a powerful beast from the primeval chaos that is rarely known outside. Both the literal meaning of the word chaos and its low-key fame are very much in line with Zhang Yi's requirements. After choosing his code name, Zhang Yi reported to Zhu Zheng. He requested that Blizzard City publicly refer to him by the code name Chaos. After Zhu Zheng received the code name Zhang Yi reported, he paused for a moment, and then a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. As if to say, this is as it should be. This is the only way that it would be consistent with Zhang Yi's usual temperament. Because of the codename system, there had been disputes in the 6 major regions. Popular titles were snatched up like lucky license plates. As a result, there were frequent fights between mutants. Just a popular codename could cause a duel between the 2 top mutes. Popular codenames like Sun Wukong, Erlangshan, Emperor Guan, and Heavenly Emperor have changed hands countless times. Zhang Yi chose Chaos, so no one could possibly come and fight him over the codename. This guy, he's stable, he's just too stable. Zhu Zheng sighed. If it weren't for Zhang Yi's constant reluctance to join Blizzard City, he would have wanted to recruit Zhang Yi under his command and cultivate him. He would definitely have become a capable general under his command. After Bian Zhen's death, his army's combat effectiveness had suffered a major blow. Without balance, his position could even become unstable. Zhang Yi, Zhang Yi. He muttered Zhang Yi's name, pondering what means he would use to win Zhang Yi over if the latter successfully completed his mission this time. Not long after Zhang Yi left the combat center, Bai Li Changqing arrived at his door. Upon meeting, Bai Li Changqing gave Zhang Yi a meaningful smile. Congratulations, you have finally become the captain of the investigation team. His eyes contained a lot of emotion. Thinking about it now, it is quite legendary that Zhang Yi was able to be promoted to captain of the investigation team as a foreigner from the outer city. Zhang Yi sensed his unusualness and guessed something in his heart. He asked, "So what about you? Have you lost your position as captain?" Bai Li Changqing shrugged helplessly. "I was only temporarily in charge of the captain's position in the first place. Now I have figured it out, don't take on a job you can't handle. For some time in the past, although I was the captain of the investigation squad, no one really treated me as the captain. It's still easier this way." Zhang Yi touched his nose. "It's not my fault." Bai Li Changqing nodded. "I understand. Fortunately, the living conditions of my family have not changed." Zhang Yi said, "I'm only the temporary captain. Once the Eclipse Moon mission is over, the Tengu squad may be disbanded. I will also step down, and I will recommend you to continue as captain." He smiled and put his arm around Bai Li Changqing's shoulders. "After all, we are familiar with each other. If I don't help you, who will? It is always easier to get things done if you have connections." Of course, he had to take care of Bai Li Changqing. Bai Li Changqing didn't say anything, as he had experienced this kind of thing once before and had many feelings in his heart. Only by having one's own strength is one able to gain the recognition of others. Take Zhang Yi, for example. As long as he is strong enough, even without connections or background, he will still be able to get the job done. This is the advantage of the end of the world. It has shattered the original social rules, and allows those from ordinary backgrounds but with abilities to get their chance to shine. Bai Li Changqing said to Zhang Yi, "You have just become the captain of the investigation squad, and there are some things you don't understand yet. I have been asked by the headquarters to give you an introduction to the duties and powers of the captain of the investigation squad. By the way, there are also two very important pieces of intelligence for you to deliver." Zhang Yi's face became serious when he heard the word intelligence. What intelligence?